don't know. It's a little loud. It'll be all right. Trying to figure this out.
We're loud people, so it's fine.
Yeah, right? Sucio Talk podcast. Hanging out with Chef Mo Moufarrej. Chef Mo, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you.
It's nice to see you. This is the second podcast we've done.
This is round 2.
Because I fucked up the first one.
You did.
So no one has heard that.
So if this one doesn't turn out as good as our first one,
it's all my fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah, but hopefully it doesn't, because you're looking at the newest style of Sucio Talk. This is all video. We got 3 camera angles here. We got David changing camera angles. I've never done this in my life, so please bear with me.
It looks so good, and it looks so professional.
I
can't believe a chef did this.
Yeah, right?
I can't believe a chef put this shit together. It looks so good.
So it looks nice. I feel cozy in here. You feel good in here?
It feels really good.
All right, good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Because, here at Sucio Talk, you know how it is, people out there. First video podcast, I'm very excited. Well, actually, it's not the first because I'm going to put out a solo first. But
just you?
I haven't done that yet.
Wow.
This is the actual first recording that I'm putting together, and then, yeah.
Wow.
So I figured I'd fuck it up on your podcast.
I was gonna say, I'm the guinea pig. I got it. And then you'll
it's all good.
And then by the time you get to the next one, you'll be like, I got it.
All right.
Perfect.
So, how you been? What have you been doing?
Good. Just been working. I'm working at a wine bar right now, beer and wine bar.
Okay.
In San Francisco.
What's the name?
Which is called Fool's Errand.
Fool's Errand.
Shout out.
Wait, shout out Fool's Errand.
It is
who is the owner there?
His name is John Dampier. He is super cool.
You bought some beers for me.
I did.
What do we got here, Chef?
Alvarado Street.
Alvarado Street. Here we
pale
go.
ale action.
Pale ale. Let me get a closer camera angle here.
There you go.
Boom.
It's a pretty well-known
Pale ale,
industry beer and wine bar, and honestly, we just have amazing wine, amazing beer. I'm learning a lot doing that, and
cheers,
meeting
Chef.
a lot of great people. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. So taking a little break from cooking to learn something else.
Right.
Get a little more experience in a different part of the industry.
Got you. So far, what have you learned being on that side?
I think, well, other than my knowledge of wine and beer now is just so much more vast than it used to be. I mean, I didn't know anything about beer. The world is so vast now, and it's so huge that I've just learned a lot in that aspect. And then also just being guest facing every single day.
Yeah.
And that has taught me a lot of patience.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, just how to kind of handle those interactions in the moment. Whereas when you're cooking, even if you're in an open kitchen, you never deal with that.
No,
you
don't.
talk to guests, but it's not like that. You're not.
It's always a very pleasant interaction when a cook talks to a guest.
100%. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's not like a transactional thing. Whereas,
and
when
they're
you're
not like,
ringing
hey,
people
this
up.
is fucked up. Like they don't tell, so yeah.
Yeah. It's been amazing. I really like.
Very cool. How long you been there? So
I've been there since September.
September. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Actually, time flies.
Yeah, I heard that. Do you have anything in the works? Anything coming up?
I do.
Secretive?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have too much to share right now, but the reason why, another reason why I decided to kind of step away from chefing and go to something a little bit less demanding is because my next endeavor will be opening up my own spot and being my own boss and chef owner. So it's been really nice to have time to even kind of think about that and look at spaces. So that's kind of where I'm at right now is really putting that into action and not just thinking about it and and not having time to do anything about it.
Heard that. Okay.
Yeah,
very cool.
So a couple things in the works.
Yeah. Can we talk about concept? What do you want to do for food? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So the focus will be Levantine cuisine.
Okay.
So Middle Eastern food, but a focus on the Levantine, which for those that don't know, I will explain. It's Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, that area of the world. So kind of on the Mediterranean, Middle Eastern food kind of on the Mediterranean. that's the food I grew up eating, and I love it. And especially being in California, the produce and just like everything we have accessibility to is just perfect.
Badass.
For that. Yeah, it's like, it's so great. And I don't think that there's anything in this area like that that's doing kind of elevated, proper Middle Eastern food. You know, there's a lot of like Mediterranean, or there's a lot of fast casual, but not necessarily like a little more upscale and sit down and focus like that.
Is there a restaurant right now in the United States that you think is doing that?
Yeah. Albi in Washington, D.C.
D.C.
Yeah,
Got you.
so they're doing Levantine cuisine, and they actually just got a Michelin star, which is super, super fucking exciting.
Yeah, I did read that. Okay.
Yeah, so that is like, I really think that, there's that one, and then there's also Bavel in L.A., which I have eaten at and is phenomenal. It's a little bit more of like a wider
I've been
scale,
there.
I would say. It's so good.
Their kitchen's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, gorgeous.
The space is so beautiful. The dining room, the kitchen. Yeah.
They're in like the like a arts warehouse, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember the bathrooms were like outside. It was like one of those.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of like this walkway. I had a hard time getting in because I was like, the Uber dropped me off at the loading dock. And I'm like, where the fuck is the restaurant?
Yeah, it's in kind of like a random.
A little nook.
Warehousey area. Yeah. A nook. Just like us. We're in a nook right now.
We're in a nook, baby. The Sucio Talk nook. Next time when I do the solo show, I'll hook up my phone too, and I'll show everybody what the hell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what you meant by that.
We're not in a dungeon.
Yeah, got it.
We're not in a dungeon, guys. All right. So, you're trying to open your own restaurant. You're working at a wine bar, trying to get some front of the house experience.
Yeah.
But here at Sucio Talk, we take it all the way back.
All the way back.
So I want to know, where were you born?
I was born in Fremont, California, but we moved to Danville when I was like 7 or 8.
Okay.
So I pretty much grew up in Danville.
Right.
Like where all my formative years.
Okay. A lot of family around you, or were you guys like the only family in your family in your neighborhood?
I have a lot of family around in the Bay Area in general. So a lot of family in Fremont, some family in like Livermore, the greater Bay Area, I would say. And so a lot of family, everything all the time.
Heard that.
Always with the fam.
Yeah, I remember you the other day. You were like, it's kind of like my Greek fat wedding or whatever.
And then my big fat Greek wedding. Exactly like that. Everyone's all up in your shit. Everyone's like, what? You're having dinner with one part of the family. You're having dinner with the whole fucking family. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
I dig it. It's all
great.
good.
Yeah.
So eating was a big part of growing up. A lot
Huge.
of celebrations and got you. Your mom cooking or dad cooking?
Both.
Both.
A lot of people in my family cook. Like, my mom would do, like daily dinners, nightly dinners.
Yeah.
Mostly, but everyone in my family cooks. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they're all really phenomenal cooks. So that was definitely a huge part of growing up, was always being in the kitchen. Particularly if there's like a family gathering, it's like everyone's in the kitchen, everyone's helping.
Right.
Pick the parsley for the tabbouleh.
Pick the parsley. You actually said that to me while we were prepping. You're like, you pick the parsley because I've done it for way too long in my life.
True.
And I'm like,
I've moved up.
Yeah. I don't pick parsley anymore, chef. Yeah. All right. I don't shine shoes no more.
I make the HuMoose now,
The HuMoose.
The HuMoose.
That's how you say it, everybody. So if you don't say it like that,
yeah,
you can fuck off. All right. You understand me? Like,
you learned that not too long ago.
I literally learned it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Chef Mo and Dave Catering over here.
That's true.
So when did you first sort of, I guess I'm skipping around here. School, did you play sports or anything?
I did. I played, like when I was young, I played soccer, kind of like everyone. And then I danced, kind of like my whole childhood.
Oh, you were telling me about you were a theater.
And then
theater person.
In high school, I did a lot of theater.
Right. Did you want to be an actress?
I did.
What stopped you?
When I was deciding kind of between like studying acting in college or like like going to culinary school.
Yeah.
I just thought that at the very least, like, it's so hard to become successful as an actress, and especially, like, I would have wanted to do theater, like stage acting.
Right.
And I was like, I'm a very, like, realistic person, and I was like, okay, I could do that, but the chances of me being successful are so low. So being a chef. I knew you were going to laugh at that. I knew you were going to laugh. I was like, being a chef sounds like more of a realistic career. Sounds easier to be successful.
I mean, that's literally what happened to me. They were just like, yeah, you can't go to regular high school because you're not smart enough for school, so you got to go to the technical school. You pick 13 things that you can do, you know? So
and what is that where you studied?
Yeah, that's where I studied culinary for the first time. Like,
wow.
I think I was like 14 years old.
That's so young.
Yeah, so because you're starting high school. So it's like the first 6 months, shout out to Wilcox Tech in Meriden, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
They, murder den. They basically put you through all the shops, they call it, right? Hairdressing, carpentry, like everything. All the electrician, automotive, HVAC, fucking everyone.
As a freshman in high school.
As a freshman in high school.
That sounds amazing, actually.
So you do like 9 days of academics and then 9 days of shop. 3 days, you're in all 12 shops for 3 days. That's like the first trimester. Then you pick 3 final ones. For the second trimester, you're in those 3 final ones for basically a month each. And you really know, like, do I like this?
Yeah.
And then, so I did industrial electronics, like building fucking motherboards and shit with, like, soldering irons, like super tiny, fine. I actually was, like, pretty talented at it. I remember the teacher was like, oh, you're, like I want you for this shop. Because he's like, you're
sick.
Good. Yeah. So, but, you know, me, I'm like, fuck computers. They're dumb. What's going to, like, that's not going to be a thing.
I'll cook instead.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck your computers. Like, yeah.
Those don't seem useful or important.
What am I going to do? Like, start a video podcast? Like, come on. You fucking, so that's how it was. So basically, in this school, you, do the 3 days, and then you do the 3 shops for a month, and then you pick your one that you want. And then it becomes, like, competitive. So
and then this is like what year of high school? This is
freshman.
Still freshman.
This is all freshman year.
You have to decide.
By the time that you leave the school, third trimester, you're in your shop that you picked.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the first year that they had a culinary, they actually built out the kitchen. It was the first year they were going to do culinary.
Wow.
And they didn't even have the kitchen built yet. So what they would do during the classes was walk you through the fucking construction site and be like, this is going to be the kitchen. And little did I know, I would be walking through fucking restaurant construction sites my entire career. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a thing. And that's actually a pretty cool part of opening the restaurants and stuff and, like, seeing the openings, because, like, you see it before it is what it is. And, like, just knowing that the people that designed it had the idea to make that, that's incredible.
The conceptualization.
Like, and then doing it.
Really
like, I mean, and we do it, but just, like, on a smaller scale, but, like, architecture and things like that. I'm always, like, astounded as to, like, how they, like, because imagine creating a dish that is a fucking building. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get, like, you know, it's like those big ass sandwiches or cheese boards. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe not.
Sandwich architects and architects.
Well, yeah, sandwich technicians.
That's
what we call them, chef. So, I picked culinary, and I remember I picked it because the kitchen was cool. And, like, that was the first thing that drew me in.
Maybe that's just because I've never heard of, like, someone actually having that experience at that young of an age, like, as a high school. I think that's actually really dope.
Yeah, it was dope for me, and, like, you know, but then, like, you hear about all the chefs who are like, I used to cook with my mom, and like you know? Not me. Like, I just ate. That's all I did for like, you know, Puerto Rican like culture. Like, your mom serves you your plate, and you sit the fuck down and eat it. Like, you don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so that was my experience with food. It wasn't like me in the kitchen, like, helping my mom out. And then I was like, wait a minute, you can get paid to cook? Like, I had no idea. And then I cut my first onion, and I was like, they pay you money for this? Like, this is a thing. I was so amazed because at that point, like, I knew mechanics, I knew carpenters, I didn't know any chefs.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't know nowadays. You do because we're in the industry, but I feel like there's a whole set of people that never meet an actual chef.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I didn't meet any chefs when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like when I didn't know, nobody in my family
like
was
Chelsea's
a chef. That's
dad's
for
a
sure.
chef or whatever, high school friend. No, none of that. No one was a chef.
Never.
No, everyone worked in an office. Everyone, secretary, dentist, whatever the fuck. But it was like normal. And I guess at that point, cooking was seen as a fucking like renegade. Like, you're dumb, so you cooked, basically.
Yeah. My grandmother had a catering. She had like a deli, and she did like catering, so she would make like trays of stuff. But I guess for me that wasn't, I don't know, I guess maybe because she was my grandmother, it didn't resonate with me as like, oh, she's a chef, even though she absolutely was.
Right.
But or is. But yeah, you don't, not like restaurant chefs.
Yeah.
Like now, you know.
Restaurant chefs, insane people, but we'll get there.
They'd be crazy.
Just the first episode. We're just scratching the surface as to what it takes.
I will appear normal.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So your acting career was trash, and you...
I wasn't good enough. I went on so many auditions. Never got my start on Disney Channel.
Okay.
No.
So you pick cooking. And when is this decision made? During high school? When you're going to leave high school? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I applied to all the schools. So you do that junior year, right? I applied to some schools, and I was really good at school, and I liked it. And it was really important to my family, to my parents, that I went to like a traditional 4-year college. And I think when I was around that time, so I must have been like end of junior year or like senior year.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to be a chef, and I want to go to culinary school. And that was a huge fight with my parents.
Yeah.
Massive.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they were both born and raised in Lebanon, and so they moved here, and it was really important for them for their kids to, you know, go to college and have a really good education.
Right.
And so for me to be like, I actually just want to go to a vocational school for 2 years, and I don't want to be in school for 4 years because I just want to work.
Yeah.
And I thrive in that environment.
Right.
Although I liked school, I wanted to work. And so that was really, especially for my mom, that was a huge argument. Like, we would just hash it out. Yeah. And then my dad really got behind me and was like supportive and said, like, if this is what she wants to do, like, why not? And my mom was like, honestly, you should just be a lawyer because you have an answer for everything and you won't give up this argument. Yeah. I finally convinced her.
There you go. How long did it take to convince her? Like, how long were you at odds?
I mean,
a couple of years?
No, and not that long. It must have been like a couple months, if anything. She probably remembers better than I do. I was like, I won the argument, moving on. but I think it was probably only like a few weeks or months because I really I did my research. I looked at all the options.
Right.
I knew what I wanted to do. You know, it's not like I hadn't had a job before either. Like, growing up, we would work for the family business in the summers and on school breaks and stuff like that. So I knew that I liked working and making money and feeling like productive, and I didn't want to go to a 4-year school.
Right.
I knew what I wanted to do.
Did you have any friends at the time that did go to 4-year schools that were like, what are you doing, Mo? 95% of everyone I knew was going to a more traditional school, you know, whether it was a community college or a university or whatever. And this was very, very different than anyone that I knew was doing. Yeah. At that time, it wasn't common to do right out of high school. Mm-hmm. Like, it was more common for people to go to the 4-year school and then decide afterwards if they wanted to do that. And that was more acceptable, I think, at that time. Whereas this was seen as maybe not the way to do it.
Yeah, not the norm.
Got you. But you fucking did it anyway.
I fucking did it. I said, fuck them.
What culinary school did you decide to go to?
I went to CIA.
Hyde Park?
No, I went to the one in St. Helena.
St. Helena.
In Napa. I thought I wanted to go to the one
shit.
in Hyde Park. I thought so. And then I
happened?
visited the one in St. Helena, and I was like, this place is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Did you go to the Hyde Park place at all?
I didn't. I toured St.
You were
Helena
like, winter,
first.
fuck that.
Yeah, I was like, the snow. And I liked that it was smaller.
Yeah.
Because Hyde Park is massive.
Is it?
It's very big. I visited later.
Okay.
In like when I lived in New York, I visited.
Got you.
Once, and I was like, oh, so happy to go. It's a great. I mean, it's great either way. You know, wherever you go. But
I don't regret a lot of things, but I do know that I picked school in Rhode Island, and Johnson & Wales has 4 campuses. So I'm like,
oh,
I
didn't even know that.
And I'm like, thinking back on myself, I thought the other day, I'm like, why didn't I pick Florida? Like, you know what I mean?
So
like,
warm.
Like, yeah, like fucking culinary school's a vacation anyway. Like, you might as well fucking pick somewhere fun to live.
I know.
I'm over here like Rhode Island. I'll take the winter and the harsh attitudes.
Yeah.
No problem.
And it's also like, so small. Like,
yeah, it's like, what the fuck, bro?
No.
The whole state's 30 exits.
Yeah. My God.
For those Californians who've never been to Rhode Island. Yeah. All right. Takes about as long to drive from Napa to Calistoga. So there you go.
That's tiny.
That's the entirety of the state.
Wow. Sounds really fun.
I mean, it is a really cool place.
Yeah.
The food scene's blowing up out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has been for a long time. They have a lot of different types of cuisine, and a cuisine that doesn't get the respect that it deserves that's in Rhode Island is fucking Italian food. The best fucking Italian food you can get is in Rhode Island. Like,
I believe
it. I know that some people are gonna be like, well, wait a minute, well, what about New York? It's like, no. You don't know about Federal Hill, son.
Ooh.
All right? They got a whole block that's just like, and I remember when I used to live in Rhode Island, they used to put a lot of news articles out with like mob people in front of the restaurants that like my buddies worked at. And be like, oh, where do you work? Oh, I work up at this place on Fed Hill. And I'm like, doesn't this guy own it? And they're like, yeah, he owns it. He's there all the time. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So we're talking Italian American.
Big, oh yeah. Big Italian American. Big fucking Northeast attitudes. Don't give a fuck out here. You know what I mean? Like
I'm getting my spaghetti and my meatballs, eh? I don't.
Yeah. But it was cool. A lot of fresh pasta spots.
Yeah.
Which I really miss. Good deep dish pizza too. So fucking fire. But anyways, that's enough about Rhode Island. Small state, small description. Where were we? Your mom hates you. You move off to culinary school.
We don't speak to this day. No. She'll never forgive me.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Just kidding, Mom, I love you. So yeah, I finally convinced them and to let me go right after high school.
Right.
And I loved it. I loved culinary school. I had such a great time. I was the youngest in my class by 4 years of the entire savory side of the school. So that was really interesting to like be, because a lot of people there were career changers at the time or out of a 4-year college.
Yeah.
But I had an amazing time. I loved culinary school. I worked a lot when I was there. I worked at the school. If you have class in the morning, you could work as one of the people that like makes dinner at night for the school. Like
you did that.
I did that. I worked for the special events department there as well because the building is so beautiful. There was a lot of like weddings held there and whatever, like big events like that. So I did that.
Right. It's who is there's a pastry chef there who's a badass. Duffy.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the OG pastry chef on the French Laundry book.
He was I didn't even know that.
Yeah. He's a fucking
He was there when I was there for sure.
I forget his name. Is it
I don't know his first name. I don't remember.
Chef Duffy. That's what we call him.
He's Chef Duffy.
Yeah. Shout out to Chef Duffy, all right? His first name is Chef. But super cool dude. He actually came up and showed us how to make chocolate at Meadowood.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
One of the sous chefs like hooked up a class. Carl Alexander, shout out to Carl.
That's dope. That's so
and
cool.
yeah, so it was a cool experience. Just a nice, humble dude. And then after that, because I became the sous chef on the cold side, we dealt with the chocolate. He like gave me his phone number. He's like, oh, anytime you need, like, any trouble, like, here you go. And I had borrowed tools from him. I'd, like, go to the CIA, like, to borrow tools. And they'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm here to see, you know. Yeah. It's like, get the fuck out of here, you know? Very cool. All right, so where the fuck were we? I keep getting mixed up over here. But we're having fun.
We're having fun. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. You're going to edit this later anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's false, chef. I'm putting it out as is.
Oh, but great.
It's all good. We haven't said any ums or ahs until now.
As he says,
That's my transition. That's you know, it's a smooth. It's what I do on dates. I'm like, so what's your sign?
That's why you're single.
Exactly. I'm fucking a trash human being. That's why I'm single. Thank you for tuning into my show. Really great. just get harassed by the guests that we have on here.
That's what you get for having a show where you interview chefs.
You dirtbags.
Stop. Exactly.
So when it's time to get your first restaurant job, what do you decide to do? Or what did you do for internship?
So, yeah, between the first and second year, you do an externship, and it's like a little over 5 months. Let's say 6 months.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to New York to do that at a restaurant called Del Posto, which R.I.P. Del Posto is no longer there, but
Del Posto is fucking badass restaurant.
That was the most important place in my development and career.
Right.
Was working there. So I went there as an extern, and when I was there, it's a massive, massive kitchen.
Right.
And the kind of beginner line, if you will, is called asagi, and it's like the small bites that come to your table when you sit down. And so I worked there, and then I moved to Garde Manger
right
before my externship finished, and I really didn't want to come back. I was like, I love working here.
Yeah.
You know, it was like New York City, so competitive. It was so much fun. I was 18 or 19. No, I guess 19. And it was like so exciting. But I ended up going back to school, mostly because my chef mentor, Matt Abdu, shout out to Matt Abdu, he was like, no, you got to go back to school, you got to finish, and then come back. We'll have a job for you when you finish school. And I was like, okay, fine.
Matt Abdu.
So Matt Abdu was one of the CDCs there at the time.
Okay.
And then the executive chef and partner, his name was Mark Ladner.
Right.
And he was also absolutely phenomenal to work with, or to work for. So yeah, then I finished school, came back, finished school, and then I immediately moved back to New York to work at Del Posto.
Right. Yeah. How did you come about the restaurant Del Posto? Because you're all the way in California.
Yeah.
You've lived there your whole life.
Yeah.
Right. Were you researching a lot? Were you doing a lot of?
So there's like a list, like a pre-approved list of externship spots through the CIA. And I knew I wanted to leave California. Initially, I was like, I want to go to a different country, like to Europe or something. But because it was such a short period of time,
right.
It was like I thought the adjustment might take longer, especially if it was like a different language.
Yeah.
So I had never been to New York, and I really, really wanted to go. And I just, all the restaurants that I was reading about and all the chefs I was reading about, it seemed like the hub was New York City.
Right.
So I ended up flying out there to do a 2-day stage, which at that time was so normal. I feel like that doesn't really exist anymore.
No, you have to do a month now, these motherfuckers.
It's like,
I try to get
or it's like you stage for like 4 hours and then that's it.
No, yeah. And they pay you.
Yeah, it's a stage.
And I'm like, bro, I don't need money. Just make me work longer.
Yeah.
Because it's not realistic.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's not necessarily a great, like,
no
gauge for what it's like to work there. So
I do think we need to, sort of move the needle into how we've been working in the industry. But there's some things that just like, what's wrong with having somebody come in and work a 12-hour day for free?
Yeah.
Because he wants to be there. Like, now we got to fucking pay him and cut him after 6 hours. Like, who the fuck? And then some people would come, like, I remember this dude, he flew in from out of state. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have him stage. And it was just as I was becoming chef at Charter Oak. And they were like, oh, yeah, he can only stage for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's like,
the fuck do you mean he can only stage for 4 hours? Like, how are we supposed to know if he's any good? You know, or like, or like if he can hang, or if he can like move for longer than the shift is 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, okay.
I was thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, that culture of extended stages, like multiple stages,
right.
or they just like doesn't even exist anymore. And definitely not like unpaid stages. Those are, at least in San Francisco, it's like, you got to pay them.
Yeah.
If they're here. I'm like, all right, I guess.
And I mean, obviously, I think it's all liability, like, you know, and I get that we're trying to change things, but I really feel like if you voluntarily want to do something, then the restaurant shouldn't be forced to pay you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now that cuts out I want to stage for fun to learn.
Yeah.
Some of the coolest stagiaires that came into the restaurants I worked were like, oh, I'm just like, I work in a restaurant in Mexico. I've owned it forever. I'm just out here staging and hanging out.
I've had such a similar experience too.
Yeah.
Where it's like some of the coolest stages are people that are just want to check out the restaurant, want to check out something different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's also, you know, when you're staging, it's not just it's a two-way street, right? It's about the restaurant kind of checking you out and seeing if you fit in and seeing if you have potential there, but it's also about the stagiaire and like, did they like it? Did they feel comfortable here? And if you're only there for a few hours, are you really going to get the feel for everything that you need to?
Exactly. Or it could like, someone could really rub you the wrong way, even though they didn't mean to. But, like, everyone knows fucking Carol's a dick. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know,
Carol.
like, she didn't mean to be. That's just how she is, bro. She just needed to get somewhere, you know? Like, she's actually a pretty nice human being. Yeah. But, you know, like.
She was having a moment.
You only knew her for 20 minutes, and you're like, oh, I went to go stage at fucking this place. That girl Carol fucking, you know. Shout out to all the Carols out there. I don't even know a Carol. That's the name I thought of. I can't say, you can't say Karen anymore because that means something now.
Yeah,
you know?
Carol is a good one.
A Carol is a mean employee on the surface. Truly a nice human being.
Yeah,
but
she's part of the family.
Yeah, but when she needs to get shit done, move the fuck out of the way, chef.
Absolutely. That's the new Karen is Carol.
Carol. Okay. So Del Posto, how long? 3 months? 2 months? Internship?
The internship is like almost 6 months.
6 months,
like
okay.
A little more than 5 months.
And then you go back to school, came right back to Del Posto.
Yeah.
What borough did you live in?
I lived in Manhattan. I kind of lived all over the place for a bit, but then once I settled down in Washington Heights, I didn't leave for many years.
Right.
Yeah, so I loved Washington Heights. Love.
What did you love about it?
I loved that it was kind of separated from the more bustly neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It was a little bit quieter. It was like a hugely Dominican population, so the food
Dominicano.
is fun. Dominicano. The food is so good up there. Like I loved eating in my neighborhood, and you know, rent was cheaper because people didn't want to live that far away.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care. The express train goes straight to Del Posto. So I was so happy living there. I ended up living in 3 different apartments in Washington Heights, like all within a few blocks of each other.
Right. Why did you choose to leave the apartments like that?
It just kind of like.
You just wanted to change the scenery?
I don't know. Like lease was ending, and I,
You want a roommate or something?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
There's like multiple reasons. Relationship ending.
Yeah.
Move. You know.
That's always hard.
Yeah.
How do you even do that? I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
They're like, all right, move out all your shit while I'm at work because I can't deal with it.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I've been through it.
Yeah.
So, you know, fucking anybody out there who's in a relationship they don't want to be in, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. Get out now. Okay.
I'll help you.
So I'll help you. Don't say that, Chef. Okay. Not here. We will not help you.
We're busy. We can't.
Yeah, we're busy.
A catering company.
D&J Catering. I'm actually catering my buddy's wedding now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because he's like, at first they weren't going to do a party. They were just going to like chill. Yeah. And I was going to marry them. So I got ordained.
Oh,
right?
cool.
You can do that shit online.
Yeah.
I got ordained, and then turns out we're not doing it. So
wait, why?
Like I'm not marrying them because their parents got involved. They're religious.
Yes.
So they want to do it. They want to do it the right way, which is fine. Like, you know.
Well, now you're cooking the food, so you're busy.
Yeah.
You're making the food for the party.
Yeah. Regardless, I'm like doing something. But I can't wait to do it. It's actually Tyler Vorse, who was the first episode on Sucio Talk.
Wow,
Very proud of him. He's getting married. So,
that's so exciting.
Yeah, those are big things. Shout out to LaToya, his future wife to be. And yeah, that's happening in a month. So I can't wait to cook that food.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people?
No, it's only 20.
Oh.
And it's
super, you can do that in your sleep. Yeah,
it's super casual. Putting together another cheese plate.
Oh,
another cheese platter. God.
You need to post a picture somewhere of the most beautiful cheese boards that you make.
I do have.
This guy makes the most gorgeous cheese boards I've ever seen.
I like to have fun with it.
I don't know how you do it.
I need like a part-time at like a cheese place that makes boards. Because I would love to. Like, it's just the idea of, I really like plating.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like, because there's so many different variations and so many different things you can do, like, and make it look really nice. And I love that, like, early 2000s to late 2000s type of plating.
Yeah.
You know, very open lines and dots and, like, you know, yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of frills. And then, you know, I went to Metalwood, and that showed me a different style that not everything has to be standing up. And, like, I remember the first time we went to, like, we used, like, a mustard green. And, like, my instinct is to, like, oh, turn it upside down so the stem sticks up. Yeah. And Costa was like, no, we want it flat. Put it flat. I was like, and I kind of had a dilemma in my brain because I'm like, well, that doesn't look nice. But then I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're not the chef.
Yeah, maybe you should listen.
Yeah, maybe I should listen to my fucking boss, right?
Chef Costa. Yeah, you should probably just listen to him.
You know, it's all good. So your Del Posto stint the second time, how long was that?
5 years.
5 years.
I know. I didn't think I was even going to be in New York for that long.
Right.
Let alone at one restaurant.
Right.
But the cool thing about it was really, like, you know how people talk about, like when you're going through, like, becoming a doctor and you have, like, teaching hospitals.
Right.
This restaurant felt kind of like a teaching restaurant. So, I mean, all of my, like, skills that I'm really good at, like working the line, butchering, like sauce work. Like, I learned every single one of those, not from culinary school, but from working at Del Posto. Right. And there's, like, tons of stations. So there's, like, assaggi, garmage, pasta station, which is 3 separate, like, stations within the line.
Right.
There's, like, dry pasta, fresh pasta, and then a risotto station. And then a fish line and a meat line, each of which have an entremet and then the protein cook.
Right.
So there was so much to move through. And this restaurant did lunch and dinner. So you would start as the lunch person that does, like, all the prep for the dinner, and then you would move to being a dinner person. So, like, between all of that, I ended up staying for a long time, and I became a sous chef for, like, the year before I left. And thinking about that restaurant is just so fond for me because I learned so much, but the people I met there too. I mean, these are some of the best chefs that I've ever met. And the other thing that's cool is it was kind of at a period of time where I think we were all just like really passionate and we were all just in it for the same reason. So I'm really close with so many of those people still, even though I haven't lived in New York for over 5 years. I mean, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years I've been here now. And I'm so close with them. Like I just saw some the other day, they were in town and we went and had lunch and, you know, like texting with people pretty frequently. And I feel really lucky to have been a part of that restaurant at the time that I was.
Right. And then fucking bitch ass COVID.
I know.
Took it away.
Took it away. But now Melissa Rodriguez is one of the owners, like revamped the space into a couple of different concepts that I cannot wait to go try because I know she's such a fucking badass. She was a sous chef at Danielle before she was at Del Posto, and she is such a fucking badass. I cannot wait. And some of the people helping her run, like her sous chefs and whatnot, are people I worked with when as a line cook back in the day.
How long has she been at Del Posto?
I mean, she was there like when I started working there.
She's still with the group.
And she's still, I mean, there's been like, she's now, you know, like one of the partners and one of the like, because Mark Ladner's not involved in it anymore. Right. And neither are like the Batalis and whatever. So it's now like a new group of like ownership.
All right.
So it's like Jeff Katz, Melissa Rodriguez, James Kent. I think they're all kind of a part of that group together. And they're doing really cool stuff.
That's fucking awesome.
I know.
Yeah, New York, man.
New York is...
That scene will never die.
Yeah.
Ever.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. I recently went and I ate at Lilia.
Oh, such a great restaurant.
Fire.
I love that restaurant. Yep. It's so good.
Yeah. And I went and ate at Chef Kevin Finch. Shout out to Chef Kevin Finch. His pop-up at Fulgurance's Laundromat.
Was it so good?
It was badass. His flavors are fucking so like delicate.
What kind of food
beautiful?
Is he doing?
I mean, he just did a composed tasting menu. But something that always blows me away about his food is his tart game. He got really good at tarts over COVID, and it is like impeccable. Like they are perfect. Just like the crust is like, you know. And when I went to eat there, I was like, I know he's gonna fucking have a tart course. I cannot wait.
Like a savory tart course
or
a sweet one?
He does both, but he did a sweet one for this, and I was like, I fucking love you. But yeah, Chef Kevin Finch, shout out to you, shout out to Alexa. That's his lovely wife. Cute. But yeah, New York's fucking that shit. Yeah. And like Brooklyn seems to have new talented restaurants every time you go. It's like new fucking, you know.
I think that's one of the things that's so exciting about New York is it's always something, right? It's never sleepy. It never feels sleepy. It's always going. There's always a new bar, a new restaurant, a new pop-up, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to leave Del Posto?
I kind of reached a point where I had, I'd been away from my family and my friends for so long. I mean, when I moved to New York, like I knew nobody other than, you know, like when I went for my externship, didn't know anybody. Right. When I moved back, it's like it was just the people that I knew from work. So I really missed my family and I missed California, and I was kind of sick of the fucking snowy winters. You don't get used to it. I don't care what anyone says. No, you don't get used to it if you're from California.
You don't get used to it, no.
So I just knew it was my time, and I had done, I mean, of course, there's always more to learn, but I felt like I felt really good about leaving, you know? I did all the stations. I met amazing people. I became a sous chef. I did that for a year, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to go back to California. And I was tired,
Was that well received? Yeah. Was that well received?
Yeah. I think they also realized that it was kind of time, like it was very mutual. It was like I've been there for so long, and I had done all the things I intended to, and it was like a very mutual thing.
Awesome.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
I love all of them.
And then you come back to California?
I came back to California. I ended up taking a few months kind of off, like not working for a while, which was really nice because it was nonstop in New York.
Yeah.
So I spent time with my family. I moved in with my parents while I looked for a place, and I just did all kind of catching up on the things that I didn't do when I was gone. So like family, friends, taking little day trips, places. And then I took my time just like finding what the next restaurant I wanted to work at.
Right. And how did you go about finding it? And what are the, like, say, 3 restaurants that you had in mind that you wanted to work at?
So ever since I was in New York, my aunt and uncle, they love to dine out in San Francisco. They have a house there. And they've been telling me about this place called Rich Table. I didn't know anything about it, but they were like, we love it here. We could totally see you here. And I was like, all right. So I guess coming from the fine dining world, I didn't necessarily want to go back into fine dining. I thought it could be cool to work at, like Atelier Cren.
Right.
Would be a really great experience. But I wanted to like take a step back a little bit and just kind of really embrace what it is I loved about cooking.
Right.
So I ended up only staging at Rich Table. I intended to stage at other places, but I only staged there, and I really liked the team, and I liked the food a lot, and I thought that was a place I could see myself at. Right. And so I was like, oh, this is easy.
Let's do it.
It's like when you know how it is. Like you either very quickly after you stage. It either
feels right or it doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. And it felt right, and I just have always kind of been someone that goes with my gut on that, and it worked out really well. I had a really great experience there. I got to do like kind of everything. I mean, I worked through the stations, but then I was kind of just a tournant. Like I butchered, I made pasta some days.
Right.
Sometimes I would work the line. Like I would be kind of like a float. So I got my hands in a lot of things, which I loved.
Fucking exciting.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. How long did you work there?
I think it was like a year and a half ish, I want to say.
And the decision to leave was based on?
I wasn't planning on leaving, but I got an offer to do a tasting for the restaurant that Saison was opening up. The new restaurant the Saison Hospitality was opening up, which is Angler.
So you did a tasting for what position?
For a sous chef.
They had you do a tasting for sous chef.
Yeah, everyone does a tasting. All of the sous chefs and like management team does a tasting. Holy at fuck. Saison.
At Saison. Yes. So that's super nerve-wracking, huh?
In the evening when when the whole Saison team is there. Oh, nerve-wracking doesn't even begin to describe. I was terrified. Yeah. And they tell you, so for a sous chef, they only, you only needed to do one dish. I think it was just one dish. Yeah. And they tell you, whatever's here, you can use. Whatever's here. And I was like, oh my God.
And you're like, you know that's not true.
Yeah.
like,
I know this is a test.
Yeah, this is a test.
Yeah. Like, definitely not using truffles. So I think I ended up doing, I remember it was springtime, so I did something with peas, and they had this really beautiful black cod that the skin was like super dry.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And because they aged it and tried it out, and I was like, okay, done deal. Very simple. I did something very, very simple, right? But that's like the kind of food that I was doing at Rich Table, is just kind of like hyper seasonal, well executed, and it worked. I mean,
how did they find you?
Job. So one of the guys that they were trying to recruit to be the executive chef was a chef I used to work with at Del Posto. And he was like one of the sous chefs at the time when I was working over there. So through them, and then we kind of reconnected, and I think, like, through that, they were like, oh, you used to work in New York? Let me get your contact. And someone I knew also worked at Saison, so it was very easy to, like, get my information. And I got this, like, random call one day when I was at work.
Yeah.
I was like, who's this? What's happening? And they're like, we're opening up a new restaurant, wondering if you want to come, like, do a tasting for us to be a sous chef.
You're like, fuck yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Let's go.
I had never been a part of a restaurant opening before. So I was like, yeah, that sounds...
We're flattered to be called. And
yeah.
like, oh, you're calling me? Like, damn.
Exactly. I was like, how? Why? Okay.
Yeah. You must have heard about me all the way from New York, you know?
I'm kind of a big deal.
So you got the job, obviously.
So I got the job, and there were a lot of us, a lot of management team.
Was it nerve-wracking during the tasting itself? Like after you put it out?
God, yeah.
Were they just like stone-faced, like not saying anything to you?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
They don't like give you feedback right then and there. They like taste it, and you know it's like the corporate chefs.
And they don't eat it all, so you're like,
so
oh
like,
no,
okay,
they hated it. Yeah.
And also like they're in service. Like this is Saison. This is no joke. I mean, that kitchen is so intense and serious as it is, especially during that time.
Yeah.
That just being in the kitchen, you kind of feel like, oh my God, I'm in your way. Like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, what do I, like, you know, it's just that feeling is always kind of uncomfortable. So then on top of that, being like, all right. And then you just leave after that too. You don't hear, I mean, you just leave. I'm like, okay, so I'm done. I'm like, I'm happy to stay, you know, that stage kind of mentality. I'm happy to stay and clean and whatever.
No, like, get the fuck out of here.
Like, you can go, bye. I was like, oh my God. So then they told me that, you know, they wanted me on the team, and I was like, yeah, sure. Why, that sounds amazing.
Awesome.
I mean, not yeah, sure. I was like, oh, it sounds incredible.
At this point, are you like, hey, Mom, remember when you didn't want me to be a chef? Like,
oh, you should have seen how the tables turned after I worked at Del Posto.
Right.
Now it's like my parents are always talking about me. I'm like, can you stop like talking about me to random people? Like, our daughter's a chef. Our daughter's a chef. She works at Michelin-starred restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
She has Michelin stars.
Yeah.
Sometimes people fuck that shit up, man.
I'm like no, I'm not a Michelin.
Some people have introduced me as Michelin starred, Dave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, bro,
that's not how that
those
works.
are not mine.
Yeah, those don't belong to me.
Yeah, I worked there while they had it, and like, I may have contributed to a little bit, but I didn't like. No, don't fucking.
Well, the year that I was working at Rich Table, they got their first Michelin star.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, which was such an amazing experience to be there during that time. But my mom's like, yeah, she got them the Michelin star. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
That's fucking awesome. I love that.
I get it. They're proud parents.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You got to be you know.
Who am I to tell her what to say?
Yeah, no. Don't say that. Just say, thank you, Mom. We love you.
Yeah.
You know, so you're at Angler. You're a sous chef. What are sous chef duties at Angler?
So it was kind of broken down by, let's call it stations, I guess. So there was like an AM sous chef that looked over the prep team.
Right.
And then I started off as being the like cold station sous chef. And then with that comes, you know, like the ordering gets broken up between the sous chefs. So you order, like, you're in charge of ordering different things. And then at one point, the pastry sous chef left really suddenly, and so they asked me to be the pastry sous chef fill-in, and I was like, all right, I guess I could do that. Sure, why not? No pastry experience other than 3 weeks in culinary school.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, yeah, sure, no problem, easy. Not easy, but I learned a lot, so that's good.
Okay. Did you have a pastry person showing you stuff, or were you just like read the book?
It was little bit more of like a, here you go. You're because the sous chef that was originally hired to be the pastry sous, like it's not like he trained me and then left. Like he was gone, and they were like, oh my God, we need someone. And so there was like one or two pastry, like people that worked pastry stations. So they helped show me some stuff. But then it was also, we were still so early on that we were still doing a lot of R&D, and we were still doing, you know, like we were still figuring things out. So I kind of just started R&Ding so much. And it wasn't until, so Angler San Francisco opened up first, and then Angler Los Angeles opened up later. And the management team from LA came up for like 6 months. They were in San Francisco training with us and like learning with us. And the pastry sous chef from down there that they had hired is a pastry chef. So she worked at, her name is Cody. Cody Marquez now. She just got married. I love her. I was in her wedding.
Shout out to you, Cody Marquez.
Shout out to you, Cody.
We got to have her on the podcast.
No, really. She's amazing. She works at Squirrel right now in LA. She's
no way.
She's so talented. But she taught me everything I know about, not everything, but almost everything I know about pastry. I mean, she really took the time to like, we were like doing it together, but she just had so much more experience that I was able to ask her questions about like, so when you're doing this, why would this happen? Or what would be, you know, how would I avoid this? Or what's, so that was, and I was only in that position for like maybe 4 months or something. And then I was able to go back to like, to Savory. And then I became the executive sous chef. I don't know, like a couple years into it, a year and a half. And then I was pretty much just like chained to the hotline pass for the rest of my time there. I was just working the pass every night.
Expediting?
Yeah, expediting.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Expediting's that's a hell of a game right there.
Is.
How many covers over there?
At that time, it was like, so we did lunch service during the week, and that would range from anywhere between, you know, a slow day is maybe like 20 covers, a busy Friday is like 80, and then at night, anywhere between 120 would be really slow, but we were doing more like 2 something. Right,
and that was Chef Nick Ferreira, correct?
Yeah, so when he was there, he was the executive chef. Jacob Ruck was the exec sous, and then we had like a team of sous chefs. And when Nicholas Ferreira left, he was awesome. I really loved working with him.
Shout out to Nicholas.
And then Jacob took over as the exec chef, and that's when I became the exec sous. Right.
First time I met Nick Ferreira, I gave him an 1/8 of mushrooms on a cruise
ship
party.
That sounds about right.
Well, because I brought I brought an ounce of mushrooms to this. My friends opened a company. I won't say which one, but I think you can figure it out. And they had a yacht party, right? So I'm like, hey, you're gonna have a yacht party? I'll bring some fucking mushrooms. Yeah. So I brought some mushrooms, and I'm like giving them out to everybody. I'm like, here you go. We're all tripping. And that Nick left, and then he comes back. He's like, hey, I heard you had mushrooms. and they're like, hey, give this guy some mushrooms. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll give him mushrooms. Here you go, bro. That's so funny.
That is a really funny story. He's so fucking talented. I mean, he worked French Laundry for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And per se before that, I believe.
So that is a
quite the resume.
Yeah.
On
for
that
sure,
guy.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you know, like something that I realized is a lot of the guys that spent a lot of time in those restaurants, those top tier 3 Michelin star, like nowadays, you know, most of us, including myself, are fucking personal chefing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like this huge, like I don't know if it was because of pandemic, probably that had something to do with it. But I feel like most of the 3-star sous chefs, CDCs, cooks, like very long time cooks, are now personal chefing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's what he did when he left Angler.
Yeah,
he
for sure.
Went into personal chefing.
Because it's like, it's a lot of money for a little work, or a little less work than you would at a restaurant. It's a little soul draining from my experience doing it. Yeah. Not all jobs are the same. I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. Yeah. But
the money is good.
The money is good, but there's some kind of like a indentured servitude thing when it's to some of those people. And like, look, I'm not that wealthy. I don't know what it's like to be that wealthy, and I'm not putting any blame or any fucking like bad energy. And like, they are who they are, and they fucking worked hard to get what they have, and who am I to judge? Like, but there's a certain feeling that I didn't like. It's like, you're our servant. You work for us. It's like, yeah, I get that I work for you, but like, I've also worked for a lot of people before and have never felt like a fucking servant. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a servant.
I get that I'm here cooking your food, but that's not like, I'm still a human being.
Exactly. Exactly. But, you know, because usually in those dynamics you have, like, they never reprimand you, like your bosses. Yeah. It's always like the nanny or like some random fucking person that works for them who'll be like, hey, could you not do this? Or I remember one time they told me, hey, don't do this because you're going to get in trouble. And I was like,
in trouble? When am I going to get
like, I don't fucking get in trouble, chef. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, what?
I don't have to be here doing this.
I don't get in trouble, man. You know? Like,
I am trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'd fire you. No. But yeah, so I'd like to see in 2 to 3 years if that changes or if it keeps becoming that. Like, people work so long in these places and then they become personal chefs. But also that's from a standpoint of like me looking at it like, oh, personal chefing is not like the goal. But for some people it is very much the goal.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little more not flexible. It's a little bit more of like a normal schedule.
Yeah, it's stable. It's stable. Yeah. It's like, 40 to 60 hours a week. You get paid really well, and
it's easier on your body. Exactly. It's easier on your mentally.
Yeah, because you don't have to deal with the fish not coming in at 4 a.m, dishwashers calling out. Like, dude, it's fucking horrible.
Line cooks coming in like still fucked up from the night before.
Exactly.
Like, are you gonna make it through the shift or what's happening here? Like, or am I gonna have to work your station?
I'll be all right, man. The thing that amazes me though is those cooks that do get fucked up the night before and come in hungover as fuck, but still somehow get everything done. Yeah, like those people that don't move fast but get everything done are like
I feel like when I was young and in New York, I was much better at going out, doing all kinds of crazy things.
Doing all kinds of,
and then coming to work the next day, super hungover, but I crush it.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
No.
Way too old for that now.
Yeah. Well, I remember we did that event and you were down in the dumps for 3 days. Yeah. Just couldn't even walk.
I couldn't even stand. Take me out of a stretcher.
I love that. That's so funny. Where the fuck were we? I remember we were in the timeline of your story. You're back in California. You took some time off. You went to Angler. You're sous chefing, pastry sous chefing, doing all the things that you didn't learn how to do, but then you learned them. And how long was your time at Angler?
Oh, I'm so bad with timelines. I had to be like 3 years, I want to say. Somewhere around 3 years. So
okay.
So what happened was we were cranking, we were going, we were doing all the things, and then the pandemic hit, and everyone had to close, and we had to pivot to a different concept, and we ended up opening up Saison Smokehouse out of the Angler space.
Okay.
We had these 2 beautiful smokers that were really big, and we knew that we had to do something to go, but it couldn't be seafood.
Right.
So what ended up happening is, along with the corporate team, Jacob and myself, so the executive and the exec sous from Angler, and then the executive and the exec sous from Saison, we got together and opened up a barbecue restaurant.
Right.
Which was wild. So basically during my time there, I was a part of 2 restaurant openings, it felt like.
Right.
This was, top to bottom, none of us had cooked barbecue food before. And this wasn't just like make barbecue food. This is Joshua Skeen's name.
Right.
On barbecue food. So it had to be perfect, and it had to be very specific
elevated
style.
And
got you. So we did so much R&D. We never really, I never really stopped working. We were just like, in fact, we were working more when the pandemic hit because we needed to get this up and running.
Right.
You know, our goal was absolutely to rehire more people. So the faster we kind of got this concept going, the faster we were able to do that. It was very cool, but it was really hard. We didn't have any kind of point of reference, right? Like barbecue is a very, like people spend their entire careers focusing on how to cook barbecue. And here we are like trying to figure out in a matter of a few weeks.
I mean, it's got its own Netflix Chef's Table variation.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's no joke. And, you know, I'm sure it's not authentic. It wasn't as authentic as whatever, but it was very cool. It was fun. And then I got a call. So I don't even know how long we were doing that for a while.
Yeah.
And then I got a call that a chef I knew was looking for a CDC in the city. And initially I was like, nah. I'm not interested in leaving. Because I didn't want to leave. I loved working for the group I was with. I loved working at Angler. I worked a lot, but I had a great position. And then I was like, wait. I should probably think this through a little bit. Like a CDC title is
like what you've been working for.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So I ended up going for that job. Also, like, you know, going through the whole tasting process and interviewing and all of that stuff. And I ended up taking it.
What was the interview process like?
There was like a sit-down interview. And then mostly it was the tasting. And so it was like I had to make 3 different dishes and present it to the owners of the restaurant and just kind of talk about it and talk about, you know, what I see for like what I think would be good for the restaurant in the future and what I would bring to it. And a lot of just like selling yourself. Yeah. Which can be kind of challenging for chefs, but also when you kind of get to that level where you're doing these tastings and you're having to talk about yourself, it's just part of it.
Yeah, you need to sell that shit.
Yeah,
for sure. So you got the job?
I got the job.
Okay, and how did that go?
It was hard. It was really rough. So this is the middle of the pandemic, like I guess
2020. June.
Yeah, exactly. Like dead center. Yeah, it was like August. Yeah, exactly. And
the first reopening wave of restaurants before they were like, we're gonna have to shut down close again for 2 weeks. Like, so okay, I'll just throw everything away, you fucking government pieces of shit.
It's like, perfect. We definitely should do this again. So we were doing to-go food only at that time, but we, you know, working towards the reopening. And I think, I mean, you and I have definitely had conversations about how hard it is to be a CDC, but I think that doing that, like taking that position in the middle of a pandemic was challenging. It was even more challenging.
Right.
Because everyone really reacted to it differently. And I think that some people handled it better than others.
Right.
And for me, it was an experience where I almost felt like I was sold a dream and then, or, you know, I was sold something and I bought it. And then once you actually get it, it's like, oh, this is not what you said it was going to be. This is not, this is a lot of micromanaging and it's a lot of.
You had no autonomy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, no even kind of wiggle room. So it was
like, is this really the CDC position?
Yeah. It was like I
glorified sous chef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you're just there to do all the things that they don't want to do.
Yeah. Basically. And then also take the heat for everything.
Oh, for sure.
Even when you don't make the decision. It's like, it's a very uncomfortable position to be in because you're not the owner you're not the chef owner.
Yeah.
But if the chef owner can't step away enough to let you do your job, then you're kind of just like stuck in
just
this.
There.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
prepping shit. And
yeah. And making the schedule.
Yeah, and making the schedule, doing the orders.
All the time,
and that's what I'm saying. Like doing all the things that they don't want to do. And I question that a lot because, you know, it's happened to me and it's happened to a lot of people that take the next step into being a CDC. And then for some reason, you know, then you don't have autonomy and it's not the position that they told you it was, you know? It's like, for all you executive chefs out there who are trying to hire CDCs, like, yo, fucking let them do what they do. You know what I mean? Like, if you trust them enough to hire them as your CDC, then trust them enough to make the decisions that you want them, you know, that you think they can make. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the biggest issue, I think, is like, you go through the process of hiring someone, finding someone that you think would be a good fit, and they're qualified. And if you don't let them do their job, then you kind of just suffocate them, and nobody grows in that environment, and nothing improves and nothing changes. So if you want to, you know, move into the next phase of your restaurant, or you want to do some, you know, whatever it might be, you really have to let that person try. And what's the worst that could happen? Like, you fail at something, there's nothing you can't come back from, you know, like you put a dish on the menu that's,
it's all good.
You put a dish on the menu that's not moving, fine, put a different dish on. But if you don't trial and error, you know, if things don't go through the trial and error process, then we're just staying the same. And that's what I didn't like about it is I didn't go there to be a line cook. I didn't go there to be a sous chef. I went there to, you know, bring the restaurant into the new phase after the pandemic. And I had a vision, and I had like all the excitement to do it. I really wanted to do it. And it's like one thing after another was just like, no, let's just leave it how it is. No, let's just leave it how it is. It's like, all right, well, we're not going anywhere.
All right.
And so that's why I kind of.
How long did that last? No.
A year. I stayed for a year. And I'm happy I did. It was a great experience. But it really kind of showed me that the next restaurant I am in that I work in will be my own. Because at the end of the day, like, I know I'm going to make mistakes no matter what. If I'm, you know, as a CDC, as an owner, as a chef, whatever, but the freedom to, like, allow yourself to make those mistakes and then figure out how to recover from them, I think is important. And I'm not sure why the CDC role is so challenging for restaurant owners and chefs to, like, foster that kind of experience.
Yeah. I think the only restaurant that I can think of that has a great CDC model is the French Laundry. And that's only because the chef is Thomas Keller.
Yeah.
But
so also the CDC has to be the one there, like, making all the calls.
But there's also another thing that comes with that, and I've talked to a couple of people that work there. It's like, unless you're like in the restaurant industry or like follow restaurants, you don't know that David Breeden is the CDC.
Yeah.
You think that Thomas Keller makes all the food. Yeah. He fucking doesn't. All right. And I'm not here to take anything away from the guy. Like, he obviously made this restaurant and has made proteges, you know, worldwide. Like, I'm not dogging the guy, but I feel like they don't do a very good job of, like, shining a light on the CDCs at those types of places.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's all about the...
Yeah, like Tim Hollingsworth's stock grew when he left the French Laundry and, like, started doing his own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, we knew who he was because we follow the restaurants, we read the books.
Right.
But it's like, if you're not in it, you don't fucking know.
You don't know who any of these guys are.
And that's what fucking Sucio Talk's all about. You know what I mean?
Shining light on those
Shining
people.
the light on them.
Shine a light.
These studio lights are pretty bright. We're going to have to wear fucking sunglasses
I
next time. I'm like, I feel like when we turn them off, it's going to be like when you're listening to loud music for a long time. Be like,
you're like, eyes can't adjust.
I can't do it. But who knows? So you leave there after a year. Did you leave on bad terms, you think?
No, I didn't leave on bad terms. I was very honest, and I was very direct, and
right.
You know.
So you had that last interview before you left, and you were like, this is why.
Yeah. Well, the vibe was kind of like off already, and we had talked, and I finally got to a point where I was like, look, this isn't really productive for either of us, so I just think like this is the best thing to do, and I felt really good about being honest about it. I didn't want to be like, this has been so amazing, like, thank you for everything, I'm leaving. Like, no, I wanted to talk about the fact that this is why I'm leaving, and I think that my advice would be, you should probably change that, because a lot of people are going to leave if you don't. And
how was that received?
Fine, actually. I think that actually on my last day, we had an interaction that really proved to me that this chef knew that he was in the wrong and apologized for it, which I thought was very nice. I mean, I know that nothing's changed, but I do appreciate that he recognized that I was hired to do a job that he didn't let me do.
Right.
And, I mean, we left on, like, I would have no problem going
to dinner there. It's not weird.
Oh, might be a little weird, but whatever.
I'm saying it's not.
It wouldn't be like, she shouldn't come here. You know, it would not be like that at all. I think if anything, it would be totally fine. It would be totally fine.
Gotcha.
I still have respect for the restaurant and for the owners and for everyone that works there. Like, so much respect, and I wish them nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a good fit for either of us, clearly.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's okay to recognize that, right? I'm like,
fuck yeah.
with anything in life, it's okay to say, like, hey, I don't think this is working for either of us.
Yes.
So maybe we should make
you have to do it in relationships.
Yeah.
So you might as well do it in work life, you know, and just
in your professional life. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I feel like some of us get comfortable and we just live in the this is my job. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I don't like when I go to like a coffee shop or something, and I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? And they're like, 2 more hours to go until I'm out of here. And it's like,
all right,
bro, okay, if you hate it that much, then don't be here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I need a job. Well, it's like, try a little harder and get a job that you would like to do. And I get it. Like, there's jobs that people don't want to fucking do, and they just do it out of necessity.
But also, like, your job's not that bad if you're working at a coffee shop that's actually pretty chill.
That's what I mean. It was like, it seemed to me, I'm like,
human shit.
I'm like, bro, you know, like it could be worse. It could always be worse. And like you were saying earlier, I love that you said that. It was like, you can come back from anything.
Yeah.
And you can, that's true. You can truly come back from literally anything.
Absolutely. So it's especially when we're talking about, you know, in your professional life, it's like, what's the worst mistake that you could make, right? It's like, I accidentally ordered the wrong thing or whatever. You know, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not that bad.
End of the day.
No.
Yeah.
But you know, as you're leaving the world of chef, I went through this when I left. It was very hard for me to accept things that were not perfect. It was like getting lost in the monotony of like, this needs to be perfect or else we can't do it.
Yeah.
It really fucked me up for a long time because
it's a very chef thing.
Yeah, and it's just like this podcast, like, you know, but like honestly, part of the reason why I got the studio is because of that mentality.
Yeah.
It's because of the like, well, you can't just do like, you know, fish and chips. It's a fucking tasting menu. Like, you need to fucking do, you know what I mean? So it's like, this is how I looked at this. I was like, I need to, you know, and if you talk to anybody, they'll be like, why do you need so much shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To do the, but I want
like,
this to
why were you not, you know, why did you want it recorded? Why don't, you know, or filmed? Why, what's wrong with just, but you're like, you want to take it to that next level.
I want to take it to the next level. Yeah. I also wanted to start with audio, because let's face it, chefs are fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean? You're awkward, you don't, I mean, we were talking about before that. You're like, I don't know where to look. Where am I going to look? You know what I mean?
We're not used to this kind of thing.
No, we're not. Yeah. And like, I had to do a lot of fucking research to understand this, because I'm not an audio or video guy.
Yeah.
And trust me, this shit's going to come out fucked up. You know, like we're probably going to have to do a third podcast.
Oh my God. I don't have enough time in my day.
It's all good. We'll do a panel. We'll get somebody else over here. That way you won't have to feel like you talk about yourself, you know. Very cool.
I think the hardest part for me, I mean, yes, that was very, very challenging, but I feel like the hardest part was when you're working as a chef, there's this expectation to always, like, what's your next chef gig? What's your next, like, you got to keep working in that. And if you kind of take a break in any way, shape, or form from being in a restaurant to not being as a restaurant chef, it's kind of looked down upon in a way.
I get it.
So, like, especially me going to work behind the bar at a beer and wine bar is, like, I can't tell you the amount of people that are like, well, why are you doing that? Don't you feel like it's taking away from you as a chef? And I don't, but that's, like, the general, for me, I'm like, it's actually making me more well-rounded.
Yeah, it is, because now you know you have a whole new level of, like, flavors in your head.
Yeah.
Because you're tasting and, like, now you know how to pair better. And,
absolutely.
You know, now you can do a pop-up and feel comfortable about serving the wine, too.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, no, who's going to be front of the house? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with pastry, because you have that experience.
Yeah.
So you can just, you know, add it to the and I told you earlier that I felt that way, because it was like when you spend 15 years being a chef, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not going to go back to a restaurant. And then people are like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and I've had an identity crisis recently because I'm like, what am I? You know, your whole life, your body, your mind tells you you're this chef. You need to do this and get these Michelin stars, and you need to. And I'm like feeling like I'm in act 2 of my life, and it's okay if I take a break right now. And then, because I've heard it before. Oh, if you leave now, you'll never accomplish what you're going to accomplish. And it's so like
dramatic.
That's that fucking 3-star fucking like I'm gonna keep you around to do what I want you to do, and not chase your own shit because you might be as good as me. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what do you want? But that's the way it be. You know.
But,
so what are you gonna do?
You know, I also told you before, and I think it's really, really important that you have the background that you do, because you wouldn't be able to do a podcast like this if you didn't have it.
Exactly.
So I think if it is your foundation.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I'm like grateful for it.
Yeah.
And I was executive chef, which many of my peers have not even, gotten to that step. So I'm happy that I did it. And, sometimes when you go through life, you look at things as like regretful or like, I should have done this better. I should have done this. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I take my lessons from DMX on Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil said, Dr. Phil goes, he's like, let me do this. If nobody has seen Dr. Phil talk to DMX, they should. Okay. But he goes, so you don't feel bad about anything in your life. and DMX was like,
yeah, with you.
He's like,
what is he
saying? He's like, I don't regret nothing because I got here and I am who I am because of these things.
Amen.
And Dr. Phil could not, he's like, you don't regret anything. Nothing. And DMX's like, nope, made me who I am today. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, there's some people that really, like, can do bad shit or whatever and forgive themselves and be like, that's fine, it's whatever. I have such a fucking hard time with that. Like, it's crazy.
You're over here talking about, like, people that do really bad shit in their lives. Like, you're just leaving. You're just like, stop chefing.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'm looking at it as like DMX's crack addiction. I'm sorry, R.I.P.
R.I.P. for sure. Your Dr. Phil impersonation was very good. If like, this doesn't work out, I think you might have a career in
an impersonation. Voice acting.
Yeah. Oh
you need to change your life.
Stop. You're really good at that.
I am Dr. Phil. I used to watch him after school.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because I'd get home. It was when I started smoking weed. And I remember...
smoking weed and watching Dr. Phil?
Yeah, I think I was like 16, and I would use my lunch money to buy those 25-cent chip bags, the Doritos.
Yeah.
And lunch was like $1.60, so I could buy 6 bags, and I would just eat all 6 bags watching Dr. Phil. And then this was me at 16. But like this is what you grew up with. You grew up with Maury, Jerry Springer.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
That was the good stuff.
Those are those great hotel channels.
Yes.
Every time I go to a hotel, the best part about it is the cable television.
Stop! I feel the same way about hotels. I love hotel television. Yeah. I love it. Especially because, like, I don't have cable at home. I just have, like, all the streaming apps.
Yeah.
But going to a hotel, it's such a luxury. Like, turning on some fucking, like, watching commercials.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Dude,
God.
I'm like, I feel like privileged to when I go to a hotel to be able to watch cable television.
It really feels like a luxury.
Like, well, if you think about it, like there is some people in this world to this day right now that don't stream. They just watch TV like normal.
That's wild.
You know, I mean, I say normal. It's not normal anymore. It's like people stream. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Like you don't fucking.
Yeah.
But it's all good. So, DMX and Dr. Phil transition into Mo. Chef Mo.
Definitely.
So you're in terms of opening this new place, and how long do you see that timeline?
I think it kind of depends. I mean, I would like to. I think when I initially left my last chef job, I was like, okay, a few months, I'm gonna get this stuff going. I'm gonna find a place and I'm gonna make it happen. And then that's super unrealistic. So I have allowed myself now to just appreciate the process.
Right.
And it took a while, and recognize that it's not gonna happen overnight. So I would, within the year, I mean, I have a couple things in the works that I hope pan out.
Right.
One I'm very hopeful for, but I think one thing, and I find that I do this a lot, and I think has a lot to do with my training, is I kind of like get my mindset on something, and then I'm like hyper focused on that thing and getting it done that way that I've thought about, when it's like there's 100 ways to do anything. So I've tried to be better at, I'm like, I'm going to open up a restaurant in San Francisco. And now I'm like, you know what? Maybe it doesn't have to be San Francisco.
Right.
It can be the greater Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to be, like, what is locking me into San Francisco? Like, the fucking human shit on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
I don't.
The needles?
The needles, yeah. The super high rents. Like,
I didn't know this, but apparently San Francisco is one of the highest cities, or the highest rate cities to lose population.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
It was like
it
was like 24,000 people or something left.
Oh, I believe it.
Something like that. Yeah.
The pandemic really hit the city hard, and it's like
that city for sure.
Yeah,
like,
really hard.
Oakland was straight party town.
Really?
Yeah, everyone was just outside, side shows.
Hell yeah.
Fucking, it was because I was driving from Napa to come to Truffle Shuffle when they were still running it out of their house do the shows.
Yeah.
And I would get from Napa to Oakland in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Because there wasn't any cars on the road.
Jesus.
So it was like, hey.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was, San Francisco got hit so hard, and anyways, I have kind of allowed myself to be a little bit more open-minded, whereas I'm typically the kind of person that, like, makes a decision, goes with the decision, like, a little bit more rigid and plans everything. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? I don't even love San Francisco so much that I don't want to leave. Like,
I was talking to my artist the other day, and we were talking about
your artist, your tattoo artist.
No, like the guy who.
Like, you have an artist?
No, well, for the podcast, his name is Logic Thompson.
Ooh,
he lives in New York. Shout out to Logic. He's done all my art, my beautiful logo, and all that.
Crushed it. Look at you.
Oh, for sure. Look at it.
Demon eyes.
demonized.
I love it.
I'm high in the picture.
Oh,
that's what it is, chef. Hello, Sucio Talk. Here we go.
Hey, how you doing?
We had to rebrand a little bit just because everyone was like, we can't read the name on the original one.
Really?
But I'm gonna put that one back here.
Oh yeah.
When I get that. But fuck, I forgot what I was talking about. Logic Thompson.
You were talking to him.
What was my point?
You were talking to him the other day.
What were we talking about before that?
Being open-minded.
Oh, good. I'm not editing this, so people are just going to know that I'm fucking absent-minded. Like,
you do that a lot.
I know. Well, today especially, you know why? I've just been, like, running all day.
Yeah.
Like, I woke up this morning. I cleaned the entire house, like, to make sure.
Did you do that for me?
Yeah, I had to make sure that it's not fucking,
nice.
Dirtbag city in here.
Smells great in here, by the way.
Thank you.
The incense.
The incense, I blessed the house with a little bit of Palo Santo and some sage.
God bless.
I blessed her. Make sure she's not coming in here with her fucking...
That's true, actually.
Satan energy.
Her demonic energy.
Her satanic energy. But really, what the fuck were we talking about?
Dude, I don't know. You were talking to Logic Thompson, and before that, we were talking about... Stop.
Get it? It's just like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Fuck, that would have been a really good point to make. But that's why we're doing this. That's
whatever. Oh my God. Whatever.
You know what? It'll come back to me in the next episode. How about that?
Perfect.
Fuck.
We should shout out Truffle Shuffle.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I
mean, I've been shouting it out all day. Truffle Shuffle.
Hat.
We got the
There's that. I mean, I know those are your homies, but they
let them hang out. Check it out. Truffle Shuffle hat. We got the quart container of water that I got from Mo, and she hasn't drank one sip of it. Great. Thank you very much. And then we have the Escoffier cookbook in the corner over there holding up the hoodie because you need Escoffier.
You have to have him around.
Yeah, because this is the best motherfucking culinary podcast there ever was. Ever.
Oh, should we talk about how we know each other?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I don't.
How do I know you? Tell the story.
Okay, so Angler and let's say Saison Hospitality,
right?
Is owned by a couple people, but Jag Kapoor is one of the. I always forget what it's like. CFO.
Let's just call him. I don't know. Boss man.
He's a boss man.
Boss man.
Such an amazing man. I absolutely love him. So he's one of the owners of the group, and his daughter, Jessica.
Right. Okay.
What's up, Jessica?
What up, Jessica? Shout out to Jessica Kapoor.
And also
Chief of Staff over there at Saison Hospitality Group.
We also got to shout out Jason Kapoor.
Oh, shout out to Jason for sure.
Him and I opened the restaurant together.
He is cool as fuck.
A lot of time together. I actually know him so much more better than I know Jessica.
Oh, really?
I mean, we opened up Angler together, and we were together every day, like in and out.
That's dope.
Yeah, they're the family in general. It's amazing. I love them.
Yeah, they got a swagged out restaurant group for
For
sure.
sure.
For sure.
So that's how I know Jessica, and then she told me about you, and she was like, "Hey, my friend is doing this podcast that you should be on."
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. That sounds amazing.
Well, I told her we should do, she had the idea. She was like, because I reached out to her to do a podcast, and that's how I got to know her. And then she was like, yo, you should do a panel with all of our people. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I don't have 4 microphones. But when I do, we'll do it. Yeah. So that's the idea. So let's say 3 restaurants in SF that you love to go to.
Ooh, Ernest is like my favorite restaurant right now. Brandon Rice opened up that spot. He was my CDC at.
I'm gonna get him on the podcast too.
No, you have to.
I'm going to.
No, you have to.
No, I'm going to.
No, okay, you have to. No, you must. He's amazing. I really look up to him. I love that restaurant. I love Catonia.
Oh, I just went there and had their like family style lunch.
Love.
Oh, it's fucking fire.
That restaurant is so good.
Dialed in.
for sure. I feel like I'm always bad at this when it's on the spot, but and then
you did pretty well because you came out with the first two.
I know.
Pow!
I know. I came in hot.
How about we go third one, bar? Ooh. Favorite bar, not including where you work. I'll just say that so you don't get in trouble.
What about thank you. John Fool's Errand is my favorite bar.
Yeah, right.
I really love I got two. Cocktail bar, ABV. I think that is
I've been to ABV.
Amazing.
That's like the one. That's like everybody.
The cocktail bar. But I love in the Sunset, there's a spot called Palm City, which is a beer and wine bar that also has the best sandwiches fucking ever. And the owners and the people that work there are all industry people. A lot of them worked at NOPA previously. That spot is fantastic. It's so good. The hoagies are amazing.
Hoagies.
Loving
it.
I love it.
Oh, fuck yeah, chef. Well, thank you for doing this and coming back on.
Thank you.
After I fucked up your episode.
Hopefully you don't fuck up this one.
I probably will. I mean, to be honest with you. That's
okay. I'll come back and do it again.
This is the first one, so obviously it's not going to be the best one, but I will say you're fucking awesome. You're badass. I can't wait till you open your restaurant. I can't wait to go eat at your restaurant.
Thank you.
For free. Everything's free for Sucio.
I'm going to make you wash the dishes. But yeah.
We'll work for food. It's all good. I've actually I wanted to stage a little bit around.
That's fun.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't, I want to be to be able to go into a kitchen and like do some shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I am equipped right now to be running anything, just because I know how I am, I know how I get, and nobody needs that right now.
Yeah. You're not in the space for it right now.
And that's part of the reason why I've stepped away, because it's been like 15 years of just hardcore discipline.
Yeah.
Yelling, very short, like commentary.
Yeah.
Direct, and I feel like that has negatively affected the way that I am in life.
Yeah.
And so
all that like intensity.
Yeah.
Just nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. Nonstop. And it's like, I love that. Don't get me wrong. Like, I fucking love it. Like, that's who I am just as a person.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I was being more aggressive than I was, like, happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So once it got to that point, I was like, what the fuck is the point of this? It's obviously not, it's hurting more than it's helping,
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I need to go, But,
kudos to you for recognizing that.
Hey, I'm in Act 2 of my life.
I know.
This podcast is going to be what's what for me
I'm
for
so
the
happy
next
to be a
fucking
supporting
You're literally
character.
a supporting cast.
Supporting cast member. Yeah.
Didn't quite make it to the movies, but you made it to my podcast.
Success.
Who knows? But anyway, check out Chef Mo. She'll be opening up a restaurant soon. Sucio Talk podcast is now a video podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The production will get better. The lighting probably sucks, but that's okay. All right? So from Sucio Talk to you, peace out. Sucio Talk is sponsored by Truffle Shuffle SF, truffleshufflesf.com. Go ahead and book yourself and your family a cooking class. And that's it. Chef Sucio Talk signing off. Say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people.
Bye, people.
Bye, people.
Peace.